What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 86 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Friday, June 27, 2025. I'm your host, Zach Malum. But before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of baseball, as both New York teams were in action this week. And we'll start things in Queens, where the New York Mets come home for a 4-game set against their division rival, the Atlanta Braves. Mets have not found winning easy in the last couple of weeks, and they've lost 3 straight series, 2 of them via a sweep. One of them was against the Atlanta Braves a week ago. They end up getting 1 win in that series on the weekend against Philadelphia, but it just was not the same. They still lose 2 out of 3 in that series, and they're looking for some wins to really get them back into their normal shape and how they were in the months of April and May. When you look at the Mets right now, they go into this series against Atlanta. You're hoping probably 2, maybe 3 games. You look at the first game of this series, 3-2, they lose it, and Spencer Schwellenbach went 7 innings strong for the Atlanta Braves. Just the 2 earned runs that he led up, and it was to Juan Soto, who's been raking in the month of June, but the rest of the Mets offense has just been invisible. And obviously, when you look at this game, 6 hits they had, but not really many that were troubling Spencer Schwellenbach. They didn't take advantage of too many runners on base and too many runners in scoring position, and that was the difference in this one. They really were invisible for the last couple of innings as well after Soto hit that 2-run bomb. So they lose it 3-2 in a game that you're saying, yeah, maybe if their offense stepped up more, they could easily win that one. And then when you look at Tuesday, they lose that one 7-4, and this one was not about the offense. The offense stepped up with 3 runs in the 4th inning of this game. McNeil hits a sac fly, Beatty hits a 2-run single, and all of a sudden, against Spencer Strider, it's 3-0 Mets, and he only allowed 2 hits on the day and looked like he was ready for a loss in this one. But the bullpen comes in for the New York Mets after Frankie Montas pitched an absolute gem of 5 innings, goes 5 innings strong, 3 hits allowed, no runs, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. And this is a guy in Montas who came in after 6 rehab starts in AAA and AA and got absolutely trucked in every single one of them. Finally gets a great outing and goes really strong. If the Mets can get those same 5 innings from Frankie Montas week after week, every 5 or 6 days or so, they'll be in really, really good shape. He goes 80 pitches in this one, and the bullpen comes in to take over, and it was real ugly from there. Huascar Brazoban comes into the game, walks 3 guys, gives up 3 earned runs, and Jose Castillo gives up a couple hits, 2 earned runs himself, followed by Richard Lovelady, who came in later in the game. It was DFA'd after the game, but gave up 2 more earned runs in the 8th inning. So the Mets offense really kind of stepped up in that one, and they gave their starter a cushion. They gave their bullpen a cushion, but the bullpen has not been the same in this month of June, and they kind of imploded on a hot night in New York. Then you go into Wednesday's game, and it really can only go downhill from there. You can only go up from here, excuse me. It's been all downhill for the Mets. Just grab something to hold on to. Maybe the offense steps up or just the pitching looks really good. You got a little bit of both. When you look at Wednesday's game, the Mets win it 7-3 on their home field, and this one was the Juan Soto show. He has 2 home runs in this game, his 27th career multi-home run game. That is the most in MLB history before the age of 27. He passes Jimmy Fox with that record, and Juan Soto just puts on a show once again. His 2 hits are both home runs, and now he's really looking hot in the month of June, leading the MLB in OPS in the month of June. He's tied for the lead in home runs in the month of June. 10 home runs, and 10 of his 19 home runs have come this month, and he's really looking to step up with the weather getting warm in New York. He's looked really good recently, and the Mets relied on Clay Holmes to give them some good 5 innings. Again, they get 5 innings strong from their starter back-to-back nights, just 1 earned run, 2 Ks. He allowed 3 hits with 4 walks. So I think the walks are a problem. You're looking for Holmes in back-to-back starts, 6 walks against Atlanta on the road, 4 walks against Atlanta at home. If he could lock those down and not get so much traffic on the bases, he's looking really, really strong. And that's a guy that they have to rely on with all the injuries that this Mets rotation has dealt with. And the Mets dealt with yet another injury on Thursday as starting pitcher Griffin Canning went down on the mound with what looked to be a torn Achilles after 2 2/3 innings. And he pitched a very good game before that. It's just very disappointing with how well he's pitched this season as well. 3.77 ERA on the year, and it looks like his season might be done. Not confirmed yet, but it looks really, really bad for Griffin Canning. The Mets had to bounce back. They had to rely on their bullpen for the rest of this one. And when you have a moment like that, that really takes the air out of the ballpark, all you need is your players to really step up and gather around each other. And the Mets did that in this game. A really inspiring performance by the Mets bullpen. Austin Warren comes in 2 1/3, and he allowed just 1 hit with 2 strikeouts, no runs. And obviously, when you have Dednell Nunez, who's had his struggles in the past, but looked really, really good in 2024, has not looked the same in 2025, comes in 2 innings strong from him as well, with 4 of his outs being strikeouts, no runs from him as well, 26 pitches. Then you have Ryan Stanek, who had a lockdown 8th inning, just 7 pitches, every single one of them was thrown for a strike. He goes 1 inning strong, no hits, no runs with a strikeout. And then Edwin Diaz comes in, locks things down in the 9th inning, allowed that 1 hit to Matt Olson to extend Olson's hitting streak. But when you look at Diaz, it's not too big of a moment, and he locks things down with a strikeout to end it in the 9th. He goes an inning as well. So really inspiring stuff from this Mets bullpen. They looked really, really good in this game, and that's something that you have to carry into the next one. The 4-0 Mets win. You get a shutout in the end when your starting pitcher goes down. The offense looked good as well. They took advantage of their opportunities. Tyrone Taylor had a runner on third with 1 out, gets the sac fly, brings the run in. Alonso took advantage of a 2-out situation against the Braves starter Grant Holmes. He brings in another run to make it 2-0, give the Mets some cushion. And how about Jeff McNeil, who's looked really good in the month of June, gets another RBI and gets 2 RBIs on a single to center field in the bottom of the 7th. So a 4-0 Mets win, and you're thinking positive right now. The one thing that's going to really come back to bite the Mets, if they can't handle it, is the injuries to their starting rotation, and they have to figure things out. Maybe it's going out and getting another arm. We'll see what happens, but they have a lot of guys that are dealing with injuries. This guy is not dealing with injuries. They have David Peterson going on the mound on Friday evening as the Mets travel to Pittsburgh for a 3-game set against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 6:40 start down in Pittsburgh, and the Mets with David Peterson on the mound. He's going up against Mitch Keller. Peterson this year 5-3 with a 2.98 ERA, and then you look at Mitch Keller on the other side, 1-10 this year with a 4.02 ERA. Pirates very bad at hitting breaking balls, and Peterson's relied heavily on his slider this year, so that could be a huge weapon for him in this one. But really, when you look at the Pirates, their starting pitcher in Mitch Keller, just no wins on his home field at PNC Park this year. 0-7, and he's got an ERA of just over 4. So that's something that the Mets have to take advantage of, and the Pirates have been kind of sputtering right now in the National League Central. Just not a lot of power in their lineup, and the Mets pitching can have a day where they want to step up and have to step up. It's going to be a light series, you would say, for the New York Mets rotation with how bad this Pittsburgh offense has been. But you really cannot take your guard down, especially with the injuries that the Mets are dealing with right now. So David Peterson on the mound. It's the Mets and the Pirates at PNC Park at 6:40 start tonight. Make sure you tune into that one later. And up in the Bronx, it's the New York Yankees who are also in action tonight, but they're coming off a series loss, another series loss, and it comes in Cincinnati, where the Reds end up taking the first 2 of this 3-game set. The Yankees grabbed the last one, a 6-1 loss for the Yankees on Monday. I talked about that one, Alan Winans. in his major league debut. I talked about that one on Tuesday's episode, excuse me. Then you go into Tuesday's game. They lose that one in extras, and the Yankees have really just struggled in extra innings. Since that ghost runner has come into effect, they're one of the worst teams in baseball, and it's just coming down to moving runners. They cannot do that, and they still struggle with that even when it's not in extra innings to move runners. When it comes to a runner on third, just get a sac fly. Yankees just cannot do that, and it's been a real problem for them, something that they're going to have to figure out as the months go on later into this season. They end up getting the 7-1 win on Wednesday, and it all just comes down to how great Max Fried has been and what an acquisition he's been this offseason. Moves to 10-2 on the year, and the ERA after losses is under 1. Just ridiculous stuff from Max Fried, and he's got a 1.92 ERA. That's second in all of baseball. Gets the win on Wednesday evening, and the Yankees end up getting a something to really carry into tonight's game as they go into Friday against the Athletics, a 3-game set at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. They have a couple of day games on Saturday and Sunday, but it all starts off tonight with Will Warren on the mound. He's going up against Mitch Spence for the A's, and when you look at Will Warren this season, 4-4, a 4.66 ERA. He's going up against Mitch Spence, 2-2 with a 3.84 ERA, excuse me. And when you look at Will Warren recently, just some good stuff, a couple of solid outings here and there. Ended up getting credited with the loss against the LA Angels a couple of days ago. Or a couple starts ago, excuse me, but he had a good outing against the Baltimore Orioles to help the Yankees bounce back on Sunday afternoon. Did not end up getting a decision in that one, but just he went 6 1/3 with 6 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, and 2 walks plus 6 strikeouts. So good stuff in the end from Will Warren. You're seeing the improvements from him start after start after start, and just that one real bad start that he had against Los Angeles, you're really forgetting about that one and looking at the real good sample size that Will Warren has given you recently if you're a Yankee fan, and he goes again tonight against a struggling A's offense. So we'll see what happens, but make sure you tune in 7:05 as the Yankees host the Athletics at Yankee Stadium. And let's finish things off today with a basketball update, and let's go to the NBA draft, where it was a really good looking couple of days with a lot of strong players going to different squads. And obviously the Brooklyn Nets were the story here in New York. New York Knicks, no draft picks. They didn't have any draft picks this year. Didn't get anybody. Looking to maybe sign some undrafted guys, but that's really it. And when you look at the Knicks, they don't really need too much to add to this roster right now in this NBA draft. So they gave up those picks in the trades for one being Mikal Bridges, another being Karl Anthony Towns. So they gave up picks in those two. And obviously the Knicks right now, all their picks really belong to the Brooklyn Nets. So the Nets took advantage of those draft picks, and they made 4 solid selections in my mind. They first get Igor Demin, the guard out of BYU at number 8 overall. Really strong player with a lot of talent. Does not fill up the stat sheet too much, but he's a real athletic player, and that's something that the Nets were looking for. Nolan Traore, they go a little bit far, and the Nets do, excuse me, and they get Nolan Traore at number 19 out of France, and he's another guard that they could add to this rotation. And when you look at Ben Saraf then at number 26 out of Israel, they get another guard that they can rely on. That one was with the Knicks pick from this year. And then they finish things off with Danny Wolf, a strong player out of the University of Michigan. And then he came in, he transferred from Yale University. He was a really good college player, and another guy that the Nets can add and really try and develop. So 4 strong picks for the Brooklyn Nets, and they end up getting a solid player in my mind in Igor Demin to really cap off this nice draft class. And that's really what you're looking for as the Nets fan. All those picks, just try and get 1 or maybe 2 or maybe 3 that really you can bank on and rely on them for this upcoming season. So we'll see what happens with the Brooklyn Nets, but a solid draft class out of them. The one team that stood out to me, and I would say the team that had the best draft, in my opinion, was down in San Antonio. It was the San Antonio Spurs who end up getting 2 first-round picks. Yes, they had 2 picks in the top 15, 2 lottery picks in the end, but when you take advantage of your lottery picks, I think it really will pay off for this Spurs team. Dylan Harper, of course, the top pick for San Antonio. He goes number 2 behind Cooper Flagg, the guard out of Rutgers. Going to be a monster. And talk about a guy in Igor Demon that doesn't fill up the stat sheet. That's all Dylan Harper does. He fills up the stat sheet, and he's going to be a real impact next to De'Aaron Fox for the San Antonio Spurs this upcoming season. But when you look at then the next pick, 14 overall, maybe a guy drops to you. Maybe you could jump up. Maybe you figure things out. The Spurs then rely on a guy dropping to them, and I think this guy could have been easily in the top 8 of this draft class. That's a guy in Carter Bryant, a forward out of the University of Arizona, and he is a monster. And when you look at just the athletic body that he has, I talked about it on Monday's episode when just even looking at the draft, Carter Bryant is a guy to really watch out for, and I think he's going to be a real impact player for San Antonio down low. He's just got that NBA body, the size, the athleticism, and just the work ethic that you really just can't teach in the NBA right now. I think Carter Bryant's going to be a real impact player for San Antonio this season, and what a pick it was, in my opinion, at 14 overall, a monster steal in my mind as they get Carter Bryant out of Arizona. So give credit to San Antonio, who now can look at maybe some options, and obviously there's been rumors about Giannis Antetokounmpo, who could end up making a trip to San Antonio if the price is right for Milwaukee. Could they deal a couple of these guys? Could they deal a couple of their young guys, maybe a draft pick from last year? But San Antonio's set up very well right now, and give credit where credit is due. Harper and Bryant, and I think the Spurs are set right now with 2 great picks in this year's draft class. But that'll do it for episode 86 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malama. Thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Monday.